Hey guys, Quinn from Garage Quinn Motors here. I'm going to talk about a product that I recently had experience with. It's called TimeSert, and a little backstory of a Miata that I was working on, and the reason why I had to use one of these to begin with. So, a month ago, a guy brought me a car. It was a 1990 Miata. It had 230 something thousand miles on the clock, and he reported that the car was down in power. I drove it. Took it for a test drive. It was so slow that I couldn't remember if that's just how slow a stock 1.6 Miata was, or if it was actually broken. But after going into the motor a little bit and doing some basic diagnostic work, I found that that was a victim of the short nose crank issue. The keyway slot on the nose of the crank was damaged, so the pulley was the timing gear pulley was retarding itself and retarding cam time, and that was causing his loss in power. So, long story short, I did the Loctite fix on it. I did a new timing belt, fixed a bunch of the leaking seals. Took it for a road test with him, and he immediately noticed that the car felt much stronger, much peppier. And we got on the highway, and he kind of accelerated a little bit heavier. And all of a sudden we heard a loud pop, and I was just like, oh great. And I was like, all right, shut the car off. He pulled over, and I'm looking around in the engine bay. I thought maybe the belt broke or I tensioned something incorrectly. But I found the number 3 spark plug had actually popped out of the cylinder completely. Now, when I did a compression test on this guy's motor, I noticed that he had some stripped threads in his spark plug wells, which I made him aware of. My compression gauge, which uses less threads than what the amount of threads that are on a spark plug, couldn't even grab any fresh threads on it, so I had to use an extension that added more threads to as an adapter in order just to check compression on it. Me personally, I don't like dealing with old stuff like that or high mileage stuff. I told him he should replace the engine and just put a lower mileage motor in, but he was pretty stuck on keeping that motor and going with it for as long as he can. So I started looking into options. Oh, I should add, when the spark plug came out, it took the remaining threads that were in that spark plug well with it. So there was no threads left in there. And I think what happened was, when he had the plugs in there, they were very loose when I took them out, and I just kind of brought them back to that tightness. I didn't want to strip them, so I was extra careful when I was tightening them back down. I just kind of was like, okay, this is where I'll leave them if this is where they were. But since the car was making another 10-15 horsepower probably after I fixed everything and brought it back up to snuff, it was just enough cylinder pressure to blow the spark plug out with the few threads that were holding it in there. So I started looking into options for him because he didn't have a lot of money. He didn't want to spend a lot of money, and I really didn't want to work on this car anymore, and I didn't want to pull the head and do a helicoil on it. So I found this company. They make a product called a TimeSert, and what a TimeSert is basically, it's just a little bit better of a helicoil, and you can see this is what the actual cert looks like. It has threads, and there's a beveled lip on here, which you machine a lip into wherever you're inserting it. And it gets seated on this lip. So the kit that I got is specifically for spark plugs, and it's actually it's a little bit expensive. The kit was about $202 shipped, and it's only for one thread size, the taps. But the gist of it is this: you start. Oh, actually, before I even start with that, the beauty of the kit is that you don't have to drill anything out. So you don't have to worry about getting shavings into the combustion chamber. You start with this tap right here, and this is a beveled tap. So the threads on the top here are the spark plug wells thread pitch, but then it goes to a wider thread pitch, which is what the outer threads on the cert itself use. So you align it with the stock thread pitch, and then it will start to bite and work its way in. And because it's aluminum, you don't have to drill. This will actually go through, and it will retap, and it will flare it out to the size that it's got to be. You grease the threads to try to prevent as much of the chips falling down there as possible. When I did it, I still had a couple small chips fall down, but they're right in the center of the piston, and I have vacuum attachments, so I was able to get down there pretty easily. So you start with your flared or your beveled tap, they give you an attachment here. And because of the way the Miata head is designed, the spark plug welds are deep, so I had to get the extended reach kit. So once you have your tap in, this piece attaches over and it grabs the tap itself. They give you a wrench to turn it here. And you start and you work this in. And the way you do it is you go, with the new threads, you go 1/4 of an inch past where your first thread starts. And once it's down that far, you have to keep checking your work and take your time because you don't want to go in too far. But you want to make sure that this is below the seat where the threads start in the head. Once it's in there, you leave the bevel tap in there, and you go over it with this seat grinder. And what the seat grinder does is it aligns with this tool, and this is why the threads on this need to be lower than your first thread. The tool also attaches to this, so it'll grab the teeth right here, and it'll spin the seat grinder itself. I know I can't really hold this and do it at the same time, but what the seat grinder does is it machines a lip on top of where your first threads start for the new thread pitch. And what that lip does is it catches on the lip that's machined on the sert itself. So once you have a fresh seat ground on there, you take the second tap that they give you, and now these serts aren't threaded all the way through. The threads go all the way to about right here, and then there's no threading. So this threads in. You put it down into your spark plug well, and then you grind it. You thread it in until it stops, and then you keep going. And then what happens is the sert itself, the lip catches where you ground that fresh seat. And then this tap will thread through the sert the rest of the way. So it torques it down to the proper spec to keep it in there, and then it finishes the remaining threads on here, so you can thread a spark plug into it. Once it's in there, then you simply remove it, clean everything out really well. I use a shop vac, and they sell plenty of small little attachments. Raise the cylinder up to top the center once you're done, so you can get everything in there. Suck any chips that are out. And from there you can thread your spark plug into the sert itself. He's been driving the car now for over a month and hasn't had any issues. Again, this isn't something that I would do on one of my personal cars. If I was in that position, I would have gotten a new head. I don't like doing stuff like this, but it does seem an adequate fix for those who are in a bind or don't have the time to pull the head and replace it or do a proper repair. If you're looking for a quick fix. So, like I said, the cost for the tool up front is a little bit pricey. It's $200, but compared to what you would spend either taking it to a dealer to repair or even buying a new head and replacing it along with all the seals, time and labor, it's really the cheapest, best option I think you can do. So that's my spiel. I thought I'd share that with you guys. Worked out pretty well. If anybody's in Connecticut and you have a Miata or a similar same thread pitch spark plug and you need a spark plug repaired, you feel free to contact me because I have plenty of these certs. You have to buy them in the bunch, so I can help you out. And that's it. That's my spiel on TimeSerts. So thanks for listening. See you guys later.